Okay, I'm gonna speed run this video because I got shit I gotta do. It's late. I'm tired. There's so much content and I'm stressed. I'm stressed out. So let's fucking go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so anyway, Nordic mythology recap. um, there is a big tree called Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life. There is the lands between, which is also known as Midgard. Midgard was formed by the corpse of a giant named Ymir. This is the corpse of the giant. We have some giant corpses in Caelid and in the Forbidden Lands. Cool. That is really similar to how it was formed in Norse mythology. Another really cool thing about Norse mythology, there's an undercity like the Eternal Cities. And in the Undercity, there's a bunch of tree roots, and the tree roots are being gnawed on by a big-ass dragon. And funny coincidence, in Elden Ring, if you go to Deep Root Depths, Godwyn's corpse is there. Inside of his corpse is a big-ass fucking evil dragon, and it is causing the roots of minor Erd trees in the area to rot and potentially threatening the life of the rest of the trees that are interconnected through its root systems. So there's another fucking little cool thing. Niflheim is Deep Root Depths. Niflheim also has two river wells that run out of it. We have Siofra and Ioncel, which are just like two river wells. Ioncel, or I'm not going to pronounce this, is the equivalent of that one. Ioncel is the equivalent of this one. Try to pronounce that. I don't even know what that letter is. What's that letter? Who fucking knows? But the oracles live there. Guess what? That's actually where we go and find the mudmen with the oracle bubbles, and they can read the future. Holy shit. Also, in Siofra, that one is going to be this one. Mimisbrunner. Odin put his eye on the well. Guess what is found at the top of the base of the waterfall found at the highest level of Siofra River? Marika's eyeball. Marika's eyeball. This is it the score seal? The scar seal? It's one of them, and it's there. So we have a lot of allegories. Allegories? Like, what are they called? We have a lot of things that compare to Norse mythology going on here in the Elden Ring universe. There's too much for me to keep track of right now. Why I'm bringing this up is because there are fire giants in Norse mythology, and fire and ice are common in their creation myth, in which fire melts the ice, which then creates Ymir, the big-ass body that then creates the land between. That's the whole creation myth. So there's actually in Elden Ring a conflict between fire and ice, which is the fire giants and the Zamor people. They're logged in conflict for time of immemorial, but it's their conflict that ultimately spawns the creation of the lands between, and they're very important, and I love them both. They're my favorites. They're so cool. I love them. I would give them lots of love and attention if I was actually physically there. Anyway, the astrologers hang out with the fire giants at this time, and they actually become besties, and they have a sword called the Sword of Night and Flame, and that's kind of serves as their treaty. This is a big ass mood board, Pinterest mom vision board that me and Hazel put together, and we're going to be talking about Liurnia. And there's a lot, so let's keep fucking going. What was I talking about? The fire giants. Oh yeah, so the fire giants are besties with the astrologers who live in the north. The stargazers who live in the north also discover glintstone sorceries, and Renala, who's a young stargazer, met the full moon. To what extent she met the full moon, I don't know, but what I do know is that they're still friends with the fire giants, and this becomes important later because Queen Renala eventually calls on them to help her fight a war. But we're not there yet, so we're gonna keep going. So the astrologers decide to move down to Liurnia because there's a big-ass fucking crystal. You can see it in the Lake of Rot. There's a big-ass crystal which the academy is built on top of. And it's unclear whether or not they moved down there because of like a giant meteorite or something that happened, but the Crystallians are also there, and there is a whole class of people dedicated to like communicating with them, learning with them. Something about the old Concord, they like to hang out with the preceptors. The preceptor the Preceptors can talk to these people. I don't understand. They don't talk to me, they just fight me. I want to talk to them. I want them to take me with them. Like, why won't they talk to me? Anyway, Preceptor Miriam is besties with these people. I'm a little bitter about it. Anyway, we're gonna stop at this point, and we're actually gonna shift over to the Nox. So at this point in history, the Nox piss off the Greater Will. I don't know what they did. I actually think they might have killed the god at the time. So say, for example, if there was a god or, what's the big Fortisax? Nope. Lasitisax. Whatever the big one is with all the heads. He's waiting for his god to return. I'm pretty sure that the Nox were the ones who killed that god. And I think that that god is this blade. Because when we fight the Elden Beast actually kills Radagon, or like smashes Radagon. And when he smashes Radagon, Radagon turns into this sword. And it could have been Radagon / Marika, it could have been both of them, or it could have just been Radagon. I don't really know how that works, but their body created a sword. So the Finger Slayer blade behaves similarly to the Sacred Relic blade in that they're made from materials of a god, which can also kill outer gods, and can also kill fingers and kill agents of the Greater Will. So that's really fucking deadly and cool, and I can see why the Greater Will would hate that. So anyway, Finger Slayer blade is evidence and proof of high treason committed by the Eternal City and symbolizes its downfall. It's unclear whether or not this was created from a god's corpse, like I mentioned, or if it was created from, maybe they made their own Night Lord out of mimics, and maybe they killed that mimic and turned the mimic into the Finger Slayer blade. It's unclear. I don't know what happened. We can speculate, and it's fun, but I don't know what happened. But what I do know what happened is that the Nox kept doing shit that pissed off the Greater Will. They had the Finger Slayer blade, and they kept it in Nokron. It's made from the spine of an Empyrean god who sacrificed themselves for an outer god's defense. Who knows? Who knows who it is? And then the Nox in Noxtella make the Noxtella Dark Moon, whatever you call it. And the Noxtella Dark Moon actually has the first instance of the Cuckoo Knights symbol. And I'll actually get like a better close-up of this. Over here, you can see it right here. There's the two cuckoo birds, and it's the same symbol that we see on the Academy of Caria. These cuckoo birds, ooh, these cuckoo birds, oh my gosh, okay, these ones. And they're staring into the primordial current, or the primeval current, watching over it, and they also are making sure that they preserve the cycle of life and death by respecting the physical body and respecting it as the vessel that houses our soul. Things like taking our soul out of our body and putting it into another body is deemed as heretical, or making homunculus or albinorics or mimics is seen as heretical because it's all fucking with the life and death cycle. You're either creating life from nothing and it doesn't have a will and it doesn't get to go back to the Erd Tree, or it doesn't get to get destroyed in Ghost Flame or whatever. But then when you put your soul into like another body, your soul also isn't going back to the Erd Tree, and it's not going back to the primeval current or wherever the fuck it was supposed to go before the Erd Tree took over, or grew rather. So it's unclear. It's unclear what the fuck there's a lot. There's just a lot, and I can make a whole video on that alone. But the cuckoo were established in the Eternal Cities. Cooper's gonna snore and it's gonna sound like a fart. The cuckoo was established in the Eternal Cities, and yeah, so Estelle shows up and blows up the Eternal Cities because they're creating celestial bodies out of nothing, and they're also like doing some shady shit. I don't think Estelle has like a moral compass. I just think Estelle is like a bug that likes shiny things, and I think the creation of a celestial body really was enticing, and he decided he wanted to go munch on that thing. So he decided to teleport. And he blew up all the cities. There are refugees that flee from the cities, and they end up in the Celia town of sorcery. They actually develop it, and something cool about the city of Celia, the town of sorcery, is that their sigil has a couple of interesting things going on. This like outside disc is actually something that we see in the Eternal Cities. So that's further evidence of, here, let me show you. No. So here is the disc that is used in the Eternal Cities when we go down there, and there's like the thing that summons the balls. The balls in the Eternal Cities are being summoned by this sigil. This sigil is used across all magic. It's used across the Celia Town of Sorcery stuff. It's used for bubble summoning. It's used for Carian royal family magic. And even the flame and fire giants kind of have this like 4 cardinal direction or 4 times of day type vibes, type aesthetic. But anyway, these ones have like specific runes that almost look like an alphabet. And that's pretty cool. But anyway, so we see this sigil, right? We see a couple things going on. So it has clear evidence that it came from the Eternal Cities, right? But it also has 2 crossed stabs. One looks like Azur's staff, and one looks like Lasat's staff. And then there is a big stone throne, which is what the Lords of Night, I'm assuming, sit on, or like the big giants sit on them. And then there is 6 stars, 1, 2, 3, and then there's 3 on this side too. So with the 6-star thing, what we know about the Divine Towers is that there are 6 of them, and on top of the Divine Towers are supposed to house runes. And I think that this like theme of like the 6 stars is supposed to be representative of like the 6 stars sitting atop the Divine Towers. Later on, we find that there's more like 8 great runes in total, but there's 6 Divine Towers. So that's important. Remember that. There's 6 Divine Towers. Let's back it up. Let's go back. So anyway, interesting stuff. Azur and Lasat were obviously very important founding members of Celia Town of Sorcery. They're in the sigil for the whole city. They decide to leave Celia Town of Sorcery and go to the Academy of Caria to learn magic and to establish some teachings. They actually establish a Livinus Conspectus, scholars that wanted to uncover the mysteries of meteors, and then the Carolus Conspectus, which began by Azur. The scholars that followed in his footsteps hoped to uncover the mysteries of comets. So Azur ends up teaching this girlie named Selene. She's my mom. She's my adoptive mother. When me and Ronnie got married, Renala and Selene are now chilling in the Carian library together. Although Selene is now like a big orb of faces, but you know, it's cute seeing my mom and my mother-in-law hang out, because it just means that we have like a really happy family and we're all just like connected, you know. But anyway, we're gonna Selene gets kicked out of school because of her like heretical practices, manipulating the body and the soul. Azur I don't know what happens to Azur. He just kind of goes into the mountains and forgets how to talk. I think that like obviously he saw some kind of like celestial body that broke his mind, and he accessed some eldritch knowledge he wasn't supposed to. Something else that I kind of noticed is that between him and Lasat, they both have this little symbol above their foreheads, almost like a weird third eye or something. Cooper's gonna snort. But I also found that it's on Michaela's knight swords, the Carian royal family swords that were repurposed, and also on the Noxtella Dark Moon. That symbol is used like frequently, and I think it's supposed to depict an eclipse. I'm not quite sure though. Don't quote me on that. I didn't say that. But anyway, Renala dazzles the academy with her full moon sorceries. She's also like the rich Carian royal family girl who's like, you know, really wealthy and popular, and everyone at school likes her, so she becomes like an established lead easily. You know, she's like an overachiever, so whatever. And then when the war on the academy occurs, there's a couple of things that are happening right now. So imagine that you are Queen Marika right now. you are Queen Marika, and you're sitting in your lounge and you're sipping some wine, and some prophets come in and they're like, hey, the end of days is coming and they're gonna destroy your tree with fire. They're gonna just like blow it up. And you're like, okay, I guess, but I don't want that to happen. So you want to march up north to fight the fire giants because they're supposed to burn your tree, right? But the problem is that the fire giants have that treaty that we talked about earlier, that sword, and they're actually gonna flank you and they're gonna steal your fucking capital from behind you while you're invading them. So the order of operations has to change. Queen Marika decides to send Radagon out to Liurnia at the head of a golden host to potentially intercept the Academy of Caria. However, some shit goes down, and thank you, Hazel, for mapping this shit out. The Academy of Caria fucking wipes the floor with them, and the battles end in a stalemate, which is not what they were expecting. They were expecting to win against Liurnia, but Liurnia had a couple of really interesting battle tactics, and one of them was battle mages. And what the battle mages would do is they would seal the doors of the academy behind them, and they would go out into battle and quell conflict. They also had the enchanted knights from the Carian royal family go in and fight. Here's that symbol again that I was telling you about that is above Lisat and Azur's forehead. I still don't fucking know what it means. And then, what's it called? Giants came to their aid. A dragon came to their aid because of, there's like this big frost dragon that Ronnie befriended or whatever. And that's why I think in the Renala battle, she's able to summon a dragon, and then the giants, and then there's these wolves that she's able to summon, but I'm not sure what they're supposed to represent something. I remember there's something. Somebody made a really cool post about what all of the summons during her boss phase represent, but what's important is that the giants decided to come help and throw down, and that the battle mages sealed the doors behind them so that way nobody could infiltrate the academy. So why is that important? Well, the fucking seal that prevented Radagon's forces from entering the capital just so happens to look like Radagon's mesh. It looks a lot like Radagon's mesh, and it actually seals the Erd tree in the same way. And I think that Radagon learns this during his time at the academy. And the reason why I think that this sigil actually predates Radagon is for a few reasons. One is because obviously the Academy of Caria is mentioned to have sealed the gates before Radagon ever married Renala and then rejoined with Marika. But the second piece of evidence that supports this is that there's the Radagon idol that talks about how when he married Queen Renala, that he studied sorcery and that he aspired to be complete. And then when he married Marika, he was able to learn incantations in addition to sorceries. So I think he was able to take his knowledge regarding his time at the Academy of Caria and then turn it into an incantation. That also ended up becoming his sigil. That became his Great Rune. And we see it in the background of the Elden Ring start screen. We see the Elden Ring in that big Radagon mesh in the background that helps hold everything together and that helps keep us out of the Erd tree. Another thing that's really cool too is that this mesh is also used by Radagon's kind of like secret agents within the Academy of Caria, the Preceptors. They served Radagon. Hold on, let me pull up the where's the thing? Yeah, here we go. When Radagon married Renala, Radagon ordered the Carian magic preceptors to wear these masks. All of their matters were to be kept strictly private. So this mesh not only is able to keep people out, but it's also able to keep secrets in. And it's really cool that it has like this kind of like affinity or this ability that it's like this sigil that he kind of adopted through his relationship with the Carian royal family. It's cool. During this time, after he married them, a new sword. So we love seeing weapons that represent peace treaties. We see the full moon crossbow, which represents the union between the full moon and the Erd tree, the reconciliation and the matrimonial union between the Erd tree and the full moon. But then there's also a ritual blade that was presented to Landel by the Academy of Caria to celebrate their newfound peace. Although the weapon is embedded with precious glintstones and features the Erd tree, the undulated blade is symbolic of an ancient ritual. So I think that ancient ritual this actually might be in reference to something within the Eternal Cities. I think that might be what that is. But I find that super fascinating. But it's cool because it's like, oh, cool, we have another peace treaty going on. However, this does prevent them from going to the aid of the fire giants, and it's at this point that Marika and her current husband Godfrey decide to invade the north, and then they also kind of invade along here, and they fight the Stormlord down by Castle Morn, and they end up winning. And when Godfrey defeats his last worthy enemy, the grace from his eyes disappears and he gets exiled. So he leaves, and then that's when Radagon gets to return with all of his knowledge about the Carian royal family and about magic and about his Radagon mesh. And when he rejoins with Marika has this dialogue with Melina. Hold on, let me pull it up. So she says to Radagon, "O Radagon, leal hound of the Golden Order, thou art yet to become me, thou art yet to become a god. Let us be shattered both, mine other self." So I think that when Radagon joined with Queen Marika, that's when his mesh became his great rune, because he ascended to godhood, which then gives him access to a great rune. I think that that's the order of operations there. Another reason why I think that the Academy Seal Gate actually predates Radagon's mesh is because there's actually a small story that's happening in this Academy sigil. And I'll kind of zoom in on this one. So there's the two cuckoos, and they're staring into the primordial glintstone current. But there's also a star here, 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 and here. And perhaps, like, maybe this is the sun and this is the moon. I have no fucking clue. I don't know what the north and the south. I know that this one looks a lot like the primordial or the primeval current that's depicted in the cuckoo surcoat. So let me go back to the surcoat really quick. It's like this like wiggly line shit that the birds are staring at. They're like looking at it like, what the fuck? But the number of stars, so there's 6, right, on the outside, and then there's 1 in the middle. It's really similar to the locations of the Divine Towers. It's almost like identical. And this is really cool if this is what it is. If it is referencing the Divine Towers as what's called like a ley line, that would be awesome, because that goes kind of hand in hand with like art history. A lot of cultures would build ancient towers or buildings on sites that aligned with certain celestial bodies. And it was believed that these sites were often more sacred or more in tune with some kind of like natural flow of energy. So it's neat that that's like actually a thing in the game, and that it might actually have a lot to do with the primordial current and with you know, like the locations of celestial bodies and the stars and all this other stuff. You love to see it. It's great. All this detail is so overwhelming, and it's really hard to talk about and keep track of. So I'm so sorry. It's like, this is a mess. But yeah, we're gonna keep going because we have a lot to cover still. So anyway, Azure and Selene and all of them get banished. Lisette actually gets imprisoned. He gets removed from the academy and straight up put in jail. Selene lets us know this by saying that he languishes in prison somewhere, and you find him in the Celia hideaway, locked away in a key, and his mind has been fully shattered upon seeing a great star cluster. And, you know, maybe a great star cluster is a primeval current. Yeah, he gazed into the primeval current, beheld the final moments of a great star cluster. So there's a lot. There's just a lot going on here. Figure it out, y'all. Figure it out. I'm just here relaying the facts. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so Radagon came back. Liurnia was successfully detracted, and not only, okay, so here's another thing. Here's another like nail in the coffin that Radagon did. So I always wondered, one of the biggest things that I wondered is why the hell did Radagon give Renala a great rune? Renala uses the great rune to continue mimicry magic, to do rebirthing, which escapes the life and death cycle, that desecrates the life and death cycle, and that's exactly what the Cuckoo Knights fucking hate. They literally hate the Albinorics. If you look at the Albinoric pot, they talk about how Albinorics are like bastardized life forms. They're like a horror or something. They're like a false. They don't like false life forms. They don't like primordial glintstone magic. They don't like anything that disrupts that life death cycle. So when Queen Renala takes the great rune and starts making all those mimics of like those children of the juvenile scholars, it makes total sense that the Cuckoo Knights were like, fuck this, and like decided to overthrow her and overthrow the Carian royal family. So Radagon effectively left the entire the entire academy in disarray intentionally. Like, he succeeded. He destroyed the academy from the inside out. He wasn't able to destroy her in war, but he destroyed her through his actions. And then he brought all of the secrets back to Leyendell, into the capital. So, after like 3 kids are born as well. So what a man, what a fucking mess. And I'm gonna talk about Rykard and some other things too. I think that Rykard actually has a lot to do with the fire giants. But I don't want to get into that too much yet. And yeah, there's just a lot, y'all. There's so much. I'm tired. I need water. I think I talked about everything. I hope I did. I hope I talked about the eyeball. Did I talk about the eyeball? Am I able to go back? Okay, wait. So I don't remember what I talked about. I think I talked about the eyeball. Marika's eyeballs found this whole thing. Pause the video and read this if you haven't already. If I have, I'm hoping I talked about it. I found, yeah, we talked about it, right? I think we did. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. Good night, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a mess. This is a mess. Good night.